welcome back to another video. I'm really happy to be posting this video. It's something I've looked forward to for a long time. It is the making of my birch bark stacked handle for my Puukko that I bought in Finland during the Arctic trip last February. So it's been a long time coming. Really excited to share it with you. So the first part of quite a long process is the cutting out of the holes for each individual piece of birch bark. So these are circular pieces of birch bark, and each hole has got to be cut individually. Some people say that you can use a drill, but because of the shape of the tang going through the knife, it is rectangular, so they all had to be cut up by hand. So just taking back to kind of like the beginning, there is the knife blank, bought from Finland. So you can see how the tang running through is a rectangular shape. I bought all the handle materials at the same shop, so those brass fixings, one to go right up against the knife, and then one on the end, and then all the pieces of birch bark were bought together as well. And it was a shop called the iNut shop in Kittilä in Finland, and you can have a look at them on Facebook. But there you go, there's each piece of birch bark, each with a different sized hole, all in organised stacks depending on the hole. I was using epoxy to glue each stack onto the next one. This was a long cure epoxy. Long cure epoxies are meant to be stronger in the long run, but also not as brittle as shorter time epoxies, but it also gives me the time to stack them without them drying too quickly. So this is a two-part epoxy, so each part had to be mixed together first for it to start the, I suppose, reaction of becoming sticky. And here we go, each individual piece being threaded on, epoxied, and then the next one epoxied, threaded on to the next one. So it's quite a long process, and this is why it's important to get organised, get all your stacked pieces in the right order. Eventually moved into the garage to carry on with this. You can see each piece epoxied and then the next piece slid on. So like I said, having everything in order and ready to go, numbered, so that you can just fit each one on without any messing about while that epoxy is starting to kind of set. And as you can see, there's quite a few. I wish I'd counted how many pieces had to go on, but there's quite a few there. And once you've stacked them all on, I just clamped them down as hard as I could while I started to work on the brass fixings, just so they were as compressed as possible. Now the end brass fixing that I needed to put right on top was a circular hole. Again, as I said before, it needed to be a rectangular or fairly rectangle square fitting, so I just got the smallest file I could find to start changing that circular hole into a more square, like I said, slightly square rectangular hole to fit on the end comfortably. I was being quite careful with this, not taking too much off at once, because I didn't want the hole to be any bigger than it needed to be. And now it was time to rivet the end. So using a ball and peen hammer, very gently tapping it until the metal that's protruding out just starts to mushroom over. This takes a lot of time. You can see at the beginning there wasn't much sticking out, and then after a while it just starts to mushroom over. It's only gentle taps. It's lots of gentle taps. Just checking there's still a bit of movement on it, so it still needs a bit more going on. So I did use the file at different stages just to thin out. I think I left it slightly too much on top, so it was quite a thick amount of metal that had to be riveted down and kind of squished over. So I'm just taking some of that material off just to make it slightly thinner, so that it mushrooms over slightly easier. Again, this was a very rough file, so I wasn't taking too much off at the time, just being very careful, and then doing a bit more tapping onto the end until that end brass fitting was firmly in place with no wobble. So just testing that with no wobble.
Finished.
Okay. Now, is it when you...
And I'm now on to another long process. There's quite a pattern forming about stacked birch bark handles. It is a long process from the cutting of each individual place to stacking them on top of each other, to riveting the end on, and now to shaping the handle. So I started off with a very coarse rasp to get that initial shape sorted. I wanted quite a thick oval traditional Puukko handle, so I put some guidelines in to make the sides, the left and right hand sides, as wide as possible, and the tops and bottoms again as wide as they could. So it's almost like a diamond shape, but then that will be rounded off. So that's what I just started doing with the rasp, making that kind of rough diamond shape. Now onto the other side, putting that guideline in and using that as a line to work away from up to those sidelines. And once that initial shaping had been done, it was onto the belt sander to kind of speed up the process. Now again, this was all still done very carefully, as if you put too much pressure on while you're using the belt sander, you can take a lot of material away. You can always take more away, but you can never kind of glue it back on. So yeah, just a lot of patience with this project. A lot of time. This was done over a few days. Good few days over the Christmas holidays, going around to my granddad's, doing it together. As you can see from my granddad's workshop, he loves his tools, and yeah, it was a lovely project for us to do together. And you can see there that the handle is starting to round off there. You can see the shape tapering down to those end brass fittings, and then once the shape was as close as I wanted it on the belt sander, it was time to get the sandpaper out. Now I'm using these mesh sandpaper that I got of different grits, starting off with a 240 and working its way up. I think the next one was 320 for the mesh sandpaper, and then I had some extra fine sandpaper, which was a very high grit. It was almost like leather. It was the sort of stuff you have to use water as a component, and then you wet them first, and then you get going. But it gives it a lovely finish, really smooth, professional finish. But again, a long process of sanding, going from each piece of sandpaper, each grade onto the next. So now we're onto those extra fine pieces of sandpaper that you have to put some water on it to begin. But you can start to see that it's not looking as dusty anymore. It is starting to polish it.
And it seals it, and it goes slightly darker if you...
And as I was finishing sanding, my granddad was starting to prepare a knotting solution to seal in the handle.
I'll just start off with one. Yeah, that should be fine.
Put plenty on. Seals it now. It's sometimes called knotting.
Yeah.
And if you get new wood, You can go over your over because you can sand it off after. Got plenty on.
Birch bark is notorious for absorbing water, so you do really want to seal this so that nothing can kind of get into it when it's just on your belt.
Yeah, I should imagine that it will soak in and dry very quickly.
Yeah.
Put another layer on, yeah. Because you're hitting the end grain all the time, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now you see it darkening up a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a nice colour. I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too.
Yeah.
It's not too different than the natural kind of birch.
No, no.
Just wanted to keep that interaction in there with my granddad. He's such an incredible and knowledgeable person, and I've learned a lot from him in this project. It was just a great project to do together and meant a lot to us. So I'm just finishing off the knife handle there. After the knotting, it was just sanding again, and you can see the shine on that. What beautiful handle that is. So again, through the stages, the stacking, and the shaping, and then finally the oiling and sealing. It's such an effective handle material, a beautiful handle material to work with, and the finished product speaks for itself. But I hope I've inspired you to maybe have a go yourself. Really satisfying project to do. I enjoyed every single minute, so yeah, I hope you learn from it. If you have any questions at all, please leave them below, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching.